All right.
Excellent. Hello.
We're doing it.
Welcome back.
It's happened again.
We have to have a
Episode 3.
catchphrase.
We don't have a catchphrase yet.
We'll get one. We'll get one.
Recovery mode.
Recovery mode.
Diddly ding.
It just dawned on me that we never explained the name recovery mode. So I'll do that.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
The thought for the name was this is not an AA meeting because the audience is primarily tech, because I'm a tech person. When your computer's ruined and you need to reinstall your operating system, you reboot it into recovery mode. And so also the idea of like, let's just switch our thinking and be in a mode of putting our body back together instead of destroying it. So anyway, that's the name, if anyone was curious.
It's cool. It's a nice little double entendre.
Yeah, and the domain name was available. So there you go. That's how these things go. All right, so we're going to get even more practical today, episodes 1 and 2.
Right, we're kind of high level.
High level, trying to like explain this world that I didn't know existed, like cervical instability and just dysfunction and like this chain of effects that can happen when you literally just leave your head forward for 20 years. Right.
Some of the most obvious but not talked about topics.
Exactly. Yeah. So education. And then today we want to get into some practical things that you can do to start feeling better, like starting today.
Let's hope.
Yeah, let's hope. So we're going to talk about diet. We're going to talk about your lymphatic system. We're going to talk about myofascial release.
Perfect.
And then if we have time, we'll get into the mailbag, which is some questions that everybody's sending in. So diet.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we all know that diet's important, but we all don't do anything about it oftentimes.
Yeah. And it's usually where you should start, where people, a lot of influencers want you to start. A lot of products are on the market for you to start, and a lot of different types of diets for you to take on, and
it's intimidating. If you decide it's time, I need to eat better, which do I pick? Do I go paleo or Atkins? Or nobody does Atkins anymore. Or
I think paleo's taken over a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Or keto or Whole 30 or high protein, low carb, high carb, low protein. Nobody does that.
Yeah. What is it? South Beach.
Yeah. It's like all of these systems, all of them have some value to some degree, I think. But
the problem that they do have, though, is high levels of restriction. Right. So anytime we start going into high levels of restriction, we immediately are going to have a feedback system that is telling us that, we're doing too much restricting all at once. So, yeah, doing something a little bit slower and looking at it more as a lifestyle change. I know a lot of people talk about that too, but it's not necessarily what you're eating, how you're eating, when you're eating. I think a lot of it can just be boiled down to caloric intake. Just if you want to get really, really, really simple, you can then get into micros, macros, blah, blah, blah. But I think if you just look high level at calories, you will start to unwind your general, once again, patterns. What do you eat in a day? What do you grab? I always tell my clients, just get one of those free apps and start just training yourself to input it into that. And you'll really, really start to see eye-opening information coming to light. So, a lot of times too, there's jokes me and my client make, if it doesn't hit the plate, you don't have to put it in the app,
like the extra, all right, I measured out a perfect amount. Right? I did half a cup of whatever. And then,
or the bonus. Cookie you just walked by and grabbed, and then it.
Or the daddy tax, where you take a bite of your kid's food or you finish your kid's dinner plate. Right. That doesn't count.
None of that actually counts. No.
But it does.
Of course it does. Yeah. So, right, just being kind of more aware of those grab-y-go things, or how much are you eating outside of your normal diet? Once again, we've kind of been sold this lie that the food pyramid is our friend and we need to be eating all of these grains, and then what's at the top, like meat and vegetables or something. It's just like fruits and
I think sugar's at the top, isn't it?
Okay, sugar.
We shouldn't even be there in the first place. It's not a food group.
Coca-Cola says it.
You got to have 4 servings of your. I don't actually know what the food pyramid is anymore, but you're right. Like grains is like 18 or something.
It's like the big chunk on the bottom, and it's
you got to
just
get your whole grains. It's part of a complete balanced breakfast.
Yeah, right, with the sugar at the top.
The sugar at the top,
yeah,
so everything fits right in if you eat Kellogg's all day. Beyond just weight management, like what are the effects of diet? What can a good or bad diet affect your daily life beyond weight?
Right. So we talked a little bit about our bodies being a mechanical machine. You know, they are a machine like any other machine on the planet. And we know that machines run on certain things. So we know that we put unleaded gas into our vehicles. We put diesel into other types of vehicles. I think your lawnmower, it's like a mixture of oil or something. You know, there's just very specific things.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So we know this about all other machines, and yet we put Doritos and diet soda and, you know, the Cheeto, Frito, all the O kind of group, the cereal box stuff, on just all of the processed foods that when you really break them down are not nutritionally complete for us.
And we expect it to be like rocket fuel.
Right. We expect to be able to run your business on 9 to 5, 40, 50 hours a week,
on
7
Doritos,
hours
caffeine,
of sleep.
and
right. And just propping yourself up on, and your body is not ever getting nutritionally its needs met. And so what happens? Dysfunction, pathologies, unfortunately cancers then, right? So all of these things start.
Inflammation.
Right. And your organs too, we hear a lot about, you know, our organs will detox us. Our organs will, our liver and our kidneys naturally detox us. Yes, they do. But when was the human evolution created? You know, was it created with the industrial mind and this industrial world around us? So are our organs maybe being taxed a little bit more than they would have been 1,000 years ago? With all the pollution, the air, the Wi-Fi, you know, there's so many things around us now, just polyunsaturated fatty acids, all of the chemicals in our food.
Lab created everything.
And so you get bombarded and weighed down by these things. I mean, I've done detoxes. It's amazing what comes out of you when you really are focused though on that aspect of your body and getting your parts of your machine to run as clean as possible. You know, we clear our air filters in our car and the fuel filters. We have no problem thinking about that.
Right.
When it comes to the external machines, but our own, we have these really high and weird expectations that
my body will always just do it for me.
Yeah.
Without thinking.
And it will do it with no end problem. Right. You know, it
does do it.
It
does do it, which is awesome. It's so cool that it does.
It will.
But at some point it starts to get less and less and less effective at it.
Yeah, and that function backs up, you know, or sludge starts to back up. One of the most typical types of male cancer is prostate cancer. Yep. And the colon literally sits up against the posterior aspect of the prostate. So what's happening? You know, we've talked about this, but in science class, the semi-permeable membranes of your body, when you do that osmosis experiment with the glass of blue water, you know, half of it's completely clear. You drop the blue drops in, that semi-permeable membrane. Now, all of a sudden, both sides are equally light blue. That is your body. You are semi-permeable membrane. So anytime there's something up against something else, it's not a hard wall. It's just a soft little membrane that those things are going through. So if your colon is against your prostate, what's leaking into your prostate if you're not going to the bathroom regularly?
Bacteria. Poopies.
The poopies. the trash dump of the body is now set up against one of the major glands. So why is it important to eliminate daily? I mean, a lot of men, 1 every 3 days, that's their normal cycle.
Is that a normal thing?
That's very normal.
1 out of 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh,
just
scary.
Right, or maybe just once a day even, you know, and it's it's either, not necessarily the right form too. So they're showing that they're not digesting their food correctly or they're dehydrated. So whichever, you want a certain type of elimination, and that will show what you're putting in, how it comes out, right?
Yeah.
So
garbage in, garbage out.
exactly. And the garbage needs to come out. Otherwise, it starts leaking into other parts of the system. And so then you end up with problems. So,
yeah.
or, then they'll start wanting to cut things out because
We'll
they're causing problems.
Section. This section was touching the colons. Let's cut it out. And now another section's touching the colon. Or let's just remove the colon.
Right.
You've got
and
poop
it
in a
just
bag
keeps going
outside.
and keeps going and keeps going. So if we can think preventatively about some of these things, not expect, once again, our system to be greater than any other system on the planet that needs all the maintenance. I mean, I was watching a mining show. I love to watch those shows. And 99% of those shows is maintaining their vehicles or some form of equipment. The saw broke or this broke. And it's just, there's something constantly that they're maintaining. And then I kind of looked at them.
I guess these guys look rough.
And thought, if they only knew as much too, and if they only took as much time
to maintain themselves,
to put a little bit of that maintenance back into their own bodies. Yeah, how fascinating that we do. We're just an external creature though, and so we do want everything kind of happening outside of ourselves and not necessarily taking responsibility for what's happening inside of ourselves.
Yeah, and it's because I can't see inside myself, so I feel I'm just a solid unit. And we're creeped out when you see inside of a person. Like, I don't love watching surgery, even if it's fake or like, bleh. I'm not down with what's ever inside me is nasty. So I will just pretend it's not there.
Yeah, my daughter calls it body stuff.
Body
She's
stuff.
Like, ooh, Mom,
I'm cool
I
with
don't
muscles.
like that body
I like
stuff.
muscles. We can do muscles, but anything other than that. I'm thinking that's not uncommon that people are just weird about your body.
Yeah, but you used a good word. What do I feel? Right? When you eat something and you feel a certain way. You don't have to see it.
Yeah.
That's what your sensations are for. Like, they are literally explaining to you the roadmap.
Yeah.
Are you gassy now? Are you like tired and achy a little bit? Do you need to fall asleep right after you ate that food? There's probably maybe something in there that you're having a reaction to. So, like, once again, just pay attention. I think if you always eat something and you always feel bad, try eliminating it.
Try not eating that thing. Yeah.
And try to make a list and go, okay, let me take that out.
And a lot of people know this, and it's, especially if you have a gluten intolerance or you have celiac or you have, dairy problems or allergies, all those things are like, okay, that's obvious. Or you have diabetes and you have to manage insulin. But I would say there's still a lot of people who kind of, like, I know a lot of people who just can eat whatever they want. They stay skinny. And they're like, I guess I have a fast metabolism, so none of it does anything. There's still stuff going on inside you, even if you don't feel bad or you feel the same as you've always felt. You didn't know that you could feel better.
Well, that could also be it, that they are just so used to feeling bad that they are not really realizing that they could feel better.
Right.
I think most do, though. I think that we are constantly in a little bit of a back and forth with ourselves, though, and so that does happen. But most of the time, people are very willing to admit, when and if they're having, because it can really mess up your day, if you're out wanting to do something and you're having these issues. I mean, I was told I had Crohn's disease.
Really?
And so that's when I was like, no, I don't think so. So I stopped eating wheat. Essentially, I just stopped. I actually stopped eating dairy and wheat.
Okay.
And one night I went out to the bar and I had some drinks with my friends, came home, and I forgot that I was not eating wheat. And I had an old box of Triscuits under my coffee table. And so I grabbed them out and ate a Triscuit and immediately had all of my symptoms back, like pain in my hands, stomach, like that gas that actually feels like you're dying, like it's in your heart or something. You know what I mean? It's like, is that gas? It's almost so bad that it could not be gas, but it is. It was horrible. And I was like, oh, I think I just have a wheat allergy. And so I cut it out. I did start trying dairy again, and dairy was not the problem. So it's just interesting. Even though a doctor, he was like, it's definitely dairy and it's definitely Crohn's. It was neither, and it was wheat. So, you know.
There's a lot of overlap in the symptoms.
But sometimes you just need to take it upon yourself to do some of those experiments. Like you have way more time with yourself than they have with you.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and they're just going with whatever their special subscription of WebMD tells them to tell you, which when you're seeing 25 people a day, you kind of got to move them through.
Absolutely. And I don't think even now they do a lot of dietary nutrition
not the GP level anyway.
Yeah, I think it's
really
kind
at the
of
MD
becoming
level.
a little bit more in the world, but it's not. Yeah, I don't think that that's part of their wheelhouse. And
for sure. I 12 years ago, I was diagnosed with SIBO, just small intestine bacterial overgrowth, which is a thing. But the GP path didn't help me there. Like, I got nowhere with that. I had to see a holistic functional doctor, and then actually did the right breath test, and like, oh yeah, you've got crazy. I think it was you develop your food like ferments super quickly in your gut, and then creates really bad gas. So it's either like hydrogen or methane, I believe. And I had like crazy off the scale, like methane. So I would eat, and then 20 minutes later,
pain.
I would feel like my insides wanted to be on my outsides, and I have to curl up into a ball. And it was like,
just wait for a nice little burp or two.
Yeah, and it would just like, it wouldn't come. It was just like stuck, because it's like, it's deeper down, so you can't burp it back up. But it's not good. We can maybe get into that in the future if that's something that people like listening or like, oh, please tell me more. We can certainly deep dive that. But yeah, there's just a lot of things in the gut side of the world.
Right. And most people, and you hear this all the time from trainers, but your six pack is made in the kitchen, not in the gym.
Yep.
That's everybody's heard that. But it's so true. It is true. We want to, work our way out of our calorie intake. And so instead we need to just kind of reverse that thinking. If you're really wanting to lose weight, just reduce your calories. Maybe don't work out all the time. I think when you are really, really trying to work out, especially like 5 days a week, hitting it hard, as my old CrossFit friend says, feed the beast. Like you get hungrier. Get like you're creating the beast that now you need to feed. Like your muscles are burning, your metabolism's burning. You're going to be hungrier. So do you want to torture yourself by really just being hungrier and then being in restriction? I think it's easier to set the foundation of eating correctly, and then you start adding in, some of the tension. Then you start getting into some of the more intense workouts. But by then you've already kind of controlled your metabolic rate with the food up to that point, if that makes sense. You're not just trying to diet and work out at the same time. Like you kind of can't do both. You have to focus on the food first, and then, or if you want to just exercise and just, do full paleo, or if you have that kind of a mindset.
Yeah, like that bulking, cutting cycle that is kind of like the gym bro style. Like, well, I'm in a bulking phase so I can eat anything I want. And they are putting tons of muscle on, and they look not great.
Yeah.
And then you cut the weight off. I mean, I guess you could do that. But I don't know. I feel like that cycle is probably not the best one for you. But.
It kind of is true, though, because I was for a while trying to be very restrictive while building more muscle.
Yeah,
and
it doesn't work that way.
It's actually impossible. Yeah. And I was watching a lot of these nutrition people, and yes, even though it doesn't seem like the healthiest way, I think it might be the only way our body can
have
respond.
Different modes.
Yeah, because if you're in low, restriction, you're in kind of a cut. Your body's not going to put it on. But when you're allowing your body to put it on, it will. It's really kind of interesting. So, because now I'm doing all the protein and the creatine and I am seeing it going up,
right.
So but I'm not in that heavy calorie restrictive mode. So
yes,
it's a fun little experiment though. Maybe for you, it would be different, Well, maybe.
I've tried to do both and I never got anywhere. It's
I do. Yeah.
Like I want to get ripped and like cut. You're like,
Yeah.
doesn't
But I
work
think
that
when
way.
you're working, you need more calories. You need
You
more
do,
calories. You need
for
more
sure.
calories. And so it is
The
what
idea
it
that you're
is.
building muscle that then demand more calories, so you burn more calories when you're not working out, is like the general like approach.
Mm.
But when your muscles are burning more calories when you're not doing anything, you just feel hungry all the time.
Yes,
And so
exactly.
if you have like fantastic self-control, you could use it as a tool. I'm sure you can lose weight that way, but most people
Most
don't
people.
have the self-control to just be ravenous all day and like, well, I'm going to have my quarter cup of sweet potato and my chicken breast and like,
Yeah, no.
and then also everything else at the table is like, that's me. Where
Uh-huh.
I've always struggled with way to be able to lose it, and then I'll put something back on, and then I have to figure out how to I never knew how to do it again. I have to learn how to do it again. I'm there again. I need to lose 25, 30 pounds to be a healthy weight, and it's like still struggling.
Well, it just right. That just is a mental.
It is. It's mental.
mental
It's a mental problem.
Yeah.
It's a mental thing.
Also, it's creating protocols for your life. I'm kind of ADHD, so they say that we tend to eat the same thing all the time, and that is true. Like I eat pretty much the same thing for breakfast, and I have the same thing pretty much for lunch every day. And most people don't.
Most people don't
really follow that. I don't think, but I do. I'm kind of just. Yeah, it's just easier for me to work that way. But I think if you just focus on whole foods, I think that's the easiest way to think about it. I get a lot of clients who are really anti-fruit because somebody along
fruit
the
has
way
sugar.
has said that fruit has sugar. And it's like, yes, if you're eating ice cream and cake and cookies and muffins and all the breads and all the things, then maybe you also don't need the fruit. But if you're doing, a meat-based, plant-based kind of diet, fruit is not going to be that much sugar, and it's not a processed sugar. Like there's difference between sucrose and glucose. Like there are different types of sugars, there's galactose, there's glucose, there's like all these different, types.
High fructose corn syrup. Yeah.
Right, fructose, right. So when it actually breaks down, your body has to do a lot more enzymatic things to get the glucose, which really then our body turns into glycogen because that's what it stores in our muscles. So it's like nothing goes in and stays as it is.
Everything gets broken down.
Everything has enzymatic responses somewhere along that are turning it into what the body actually wants it to be.
Yep.
And that's, where if you put things that are closer to what your body can use, it has to work a lot less hard to get what it need, the source materials from the nutrition. So that I think would be the easiest way to understand nutrition, not to complicate it. Just, I always say too, did your great-grandparents eat it? If it existed and your great-grandparents ate it, butter, milk, eggs, they
Crisco.
ate all these things. Yeah. I don't know if that existed. That might have been great-grandparents. So I got to go back too. Yeah. So, go back a couple hundred years and say, did this even exist on the planet? I think that's the easiest. I mean, that's how almost everything in my house doesn't come in unless it existed obviously the TV or whatever. But
to a certain extent. Yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of my stuff is wood, not fake stuff. I like to have.
You gestured to this table. No, this is probably fake.
I was going to say it's probably.
This is almost definitely fake. Yeah.
That's okay. It looks like it's real. But, I do feel like that. If you can kind of base your life around whole, real things, your body is going to recognize them as whole and real. And will take from them, and you will see that your body is going to run a little bit happier.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Or you can just eat eating.
Or you can do whatever you want and feel
Doritos.
terrible all the time.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
You can be a
Dorito
eater.
A lot of the feeling better in your body is a sum of the parts. You can fix this, you can fix your posture, you can fix your, each of these pieces to come together, you just feel better and better and better.
Right. And diet is the main inflammation causer. So if we can reduce our inflammation overall, which is what we're going to try and do with the movement, which is what we're trying to do with the myofascial rolling, which is, everything else. But if you continue to put things into your body that your body has to create inflammatory responses for, then, you're going to have inflammation. You're going to have weight. Also, a lot of your weight is, your body's irritation, so it's holding fluid. That's what your fat kind of does, is hold that fluid for your body, right? All that extra adipose is all that extra lymph, and that's why it kind of is, has that appearance to it.
Puffiness. Yeah.
It's fluidy because it has fluid in it. So when I lost a lot of weight after not eating wheat anymore, I lost about 30 pounds. And a lot of what people said was that I was not really fat before, but I did not look as puffy. I did not have this inflammation appearance to me.
Gotcha.
So, people will notice that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I at one point, I was 270 pounds and I got down to 185.
Well.
And I was eating really, really good also.
Mhm.
And it felt amazing. I'm chasing that again. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and you just have to implement things, I mean,
I
have
do
all
know
these
better.
really
For me, I know better. I have a self-control problem because I use food to feel to combat stress or to feel better. And it doesn't work. I mean, it works for 10 minutes.
Right. And then you end up feeling guilty and
and then I feel worse.
out.
Yeah. So you eat more to I feel really bad. And now I need to go from carbs to sugars. I need to feel much better. It's vicious. Yeah.
It can be. It can be. But that's also, it's just an experiment. Don't beat yourself up. You're doing better today.
Yeah. I'm doing better in so many
tomorrow.
categories. And a lot of days I'm good. But just, every week I'll have a day or two where I'm like, that neutralized all the progress I made.
Well, and for me, I got more serious on it when I did feel like I was so serious with training. And then I felt like I was kind of taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And then I had to say to myself, what else why am I sabotaging myself essentially? Right. So, and then it became very clear and very obvious, and it was very easy for me to stop doing it. But I think you just have to reach that point individually, and every person's point is going to be a different, wake up call, a different set of mirrors that they finally go, oh.
Why are you putting that in your body?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Or why are you working so hard in this direction, and you have all these wants and desires, but
you do this very specific thing that undoes so much of that.
Right. And it goes 100% against your desires and wants.
Yep.
But it feels good in the moment, and we are creatures of nervous system, desiring that selective support, I guess, out of whatever we can get. So
yeah. Well, that's diet.
Yeah.
Just eat better. I might cut that out.
We'll cut that.
Yeah.
Perfect. So then we'll go into another way to get rid of that inflammation would be some myofascial rolling techniques. So we're going to think about, we've talked a lot in the last couple of sessions about our body, really being a C curve to the front. So we're a flexion-based creature. Our arms, our hands, everything's in front of our body. So we are going to be bending in front of our body. So in that instance, where would be the shortened muscle groups?
On the front.
On the front of the body.
Yeah.
So generally, a lot of the tech people are dealing with this head forward posture. The shoulders are generally pulled forward, probably more on that right arm because of that mouse action all the time. So usually that side of the body is pulling forward more than the other side. So I will usually start with the pec releases from here. So I think we're going to make another little auxiliary video kind of going through it. Yeah, I think we can
talk about on a high level about the types of myofascial rolling that you can do, but we'll create some videos and put them on YouTube so that kind of deep dive and have a better chance to move the camera around a little bit.
Right, get an actual
if you're listening
angle
to this, you can't see what we're doing because this is a podcast after all. So check out our YouTube channel and we'll put some selective myofascial videos so you can follow along and actually, learn all the angles. But I mean, from a high level, and starting with pec.
Yep. And also I'll show in the video, we can use different surfaces. So a lot of times people use the door jamb, the floor. I like to use a lot of soft furniture and things like that. So we'll get into the explanation on those. But generally, if you have a small lacrosse ball or this is a practice softball,
That's what that is.
Yeah, this size is good. Also, if you are a bigger person, something even like this size, you can go ahead and get it because we'll probably use it for exercises later on
Yeah,
too. So they come in handy.
That one's great for especially when you're doing bigger muscle groups like your glutes
hips,
and hips. Yeah,
legs.
you want to get like the distance above the ground. Whereas if you lay on
Yes.
a lacrosse ball, I will tell you my glute will just absorb this, and I won't get anything out of it.
Right. And we also like the balls instead of just the long circular foam roller, because if you think about your joint as a ball joint, that ball can roll actually around the joint instead of it just kind of, trying to go straight across something that's circular.
And you can pinpoint into like tighter spaces.
Right. So you can use the circular ball to get into the circular spaces a lot easier. So it just kind of matches that shape. I also, like I said, generally for the pec would probably use my couch or bed even. A soft carpeted floor could work, but it can be pretty sensitive for people. And you have to remember all the lymphatic nodes that are in our armpits, which we are going to get to next. So we're going to really think about, a lot of people want to push into the bone. So when they're doing any type of myofascial release, they're just pushing directly on and then kind of wiggling
it around. Yeah, giving it the old wang jangle.
Right. Right. So we want to, I like to change the concept and call them foam sitters or foam holders, just try to, instead of calling them foam rollers, because the idea of rolling tends to be what people think instead of, I think that just happens to describe the shape of the object.
Sure. It is shaped like a rolling pin or something, but it's not the
But I think people take it on as the action that it will be performing. So just think of it more in that holding, like we talked about a little bit before, the 2 to 5 minute hold. Also, when you enter any tissue, you're entering it like you're entering into the water. So you're not just kind of jamming into it, because it will jam right back
it's
at
that
you.
non-Newtonian fluid. You don't want to have it stiffen up by just slapping on it. You want to ease in and let it
melt as you touch it. Right.
Yes.
Feel you kind of becoming one together. So instead of thinking about pushing straight in, we're actually going to go into the armpit and think about scooping up.
I'm going to move your mic to the side so this camera here can see you.
Perfect. So we're going to think about having that ball in your armpit right towards the front aspect of your pec. So you'll feel it just like a little ridge. And you're going to think about that ball going in and scooping up under. So the idea is we're trying to get the pec away from the bony prominences underneath. So we're going to just think about pulling it off. You're going to breathe into that space. If there's any pinching or really intense sensations, you probably have a lymph node. So just kind of back off and try to find a spot that does not feel like a real pinchy sensation. Usually if you're more up in the armpit, you'll get that. I want you to be coming front forward, almost towards your sternum. So you're dragging from your armpit towards your sternum, and just that small compression. So you're meeting the tissue where it's at. You're not cramming into it. You're just slowly finding the area where it does feel like it's sticky. Sometimes it can feel like kind of even a hard rock on some people. And in this joint where your arm meets your pec itself, that area will have more congestion, because that's, that shoulder forward, all those little connections are going to be right in there. So if you just focus on origin insertion points, that's also going to get you a lot further. Some people will just start rolling out the belly of the muscle constantly. It's going to be a lot more sensational in the belly of the muscle too.
Sure.
So I always recommend just start origin or insertion. You get a lot more benefit for a lot less sensation. So there's kind of tricks you can play on the body to keep it happy while we're doing some of this stimulating work.
Right.
So with the larger one, you can actually get it a lot more off. So this would be something if you had, and I'll show it with the couch or chair, I like to put it right onto the arm of the chair and then just lean into it. So I'm leaning my ribs, my lateral line, my serratus, all of this stuff wraps into that pec muscle, and it will just really free up these armpits, allowing a lot of this lymphatics to drain off and hopefully start letting that neck come back into a more neutral position as these large muscle groups stop pulling it forward. So if you work larger muscle groups to smaller muscle groups, that's also a good thought process, right? The bigger ones are going to be governing you a lot more.
That makes sense.
So we always start at the big ones, and then we'll kind of work our way into the smaller, more auxiliary muscles.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice. All right.
All right. So from there, now that you've probably gotten a good release, you might have even had some drainage happen. It is October, and October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I have always wanted it to become Breast Health Awareness Month. I think if we can start thinking preventatively in these aspects of our lives, we're just going to be ahead of the curve instead of waiting for something
to happen and have to fix it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if we can just kind of contemplate once again, if we're a mechanical system, how do we increase the health and vitality of that system? How do I tell people too, it's like, when it rains, there's all these little puddles everywhere. Like that also happens in your body. There's just little damp stagnation, little places where maybe the flow isn't reaching. So how do we get the flow to reach into those little places too, so that we don't end up with all of the problems that come when our lymphatic system gets stagnated. So the first thing first is we have this, 8-lane highway going into our county road. So sometimes there is a tree across the road, right? There's some sort of blockage happening. And so both people trying to get onto the county road can't get on. You can't get onto the highway, right? There's just major...
And the roads being your nerves and your vessels and...
Your blood vessels, your lymph flow.
Yeah.
They've also now shown that they thought for a long time our brain had these deep venous areas that were actually draining the waste of the brain off and away.
Okay.
They have now discovered that they actually come out and into our face. That instead of going deeper, they come superficially.
Go even further.
Yep.
Okay.
They are all, which makes sense. Why would the body want to put its waste deeper? It would want it to become more superficial, especially away from our brain, the most kind of important part of the computer system, if you will. So using these lymphatic system, gua sha tools. There's some really cool dry brushing people online. But I'm just going to show you my basic lymphatic drainage techniques, because most people are doing these online, but they're doing them in these like 30-second clips.
Sure. Right. I mean, I've done them too. My sister recommended, she had a lot of problems. She's, just a couple years younger than me, but she had like weird like skin rashes on her face and like across her chest and stuff that like she could get rid of. And then she started doing lymphatic drainage and like almost overnight just went away. She's like, if I have to cut anything out of my day, exercise or food, like whatever, I'm not going to cut out the lymphatic stuff. I'm like, well, that's enough for me to be like, let's see what's going on here. Yeah. I didn't even know this existed like about 4 months ago.
Yeah. I myself was having like a skin issue I thought was hormonal, and yes, it was a lymphatic issue all along.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I saw a really cool video recently of people with skin tags. Actually, skin tags and moles show up along these lymphatic pathways when they are congested. The skin tag itself, the woman was saying, was like an external mucus, essentially, that the mucus can't move internally anymore, so the body just starts kind of putting it out.
I have one.
And it's
on my lymph node.
Lymph node.
Interesting.
Yeah, really cool stuff. So, and I get sometimes these little tiny like things around my eyes, and that tends to be where my fluid will sit in my face as well. So yes, implementing this stuff
Yeah.
And like I said,
Not
there's
hard.
a bunch of influencers online and they have some really cool videos. I really, for a long time, was using just the traditional gua sha tool with the oil. My time and my life is, a little bit hard sometimes to sit and do that. So recently, my client just brought me this really cool thing, which these are very cheap on Amazon, and they're like a velveteen brush that then you do the exact same thing, but you don't need to use any oils. And it's just so nice.
Okay.
And I use this probably way too much now because I don't need to use oil. So you can do it, put it in your car and do it anytime. So I do think implementing some of these things, especially to the face, even though it seems like it's all, about superficial looks, I think we're hitting something on these types of protocols that can really move the needle with the lymphatic drainage. So, and they always say, start here around your collarbones, do all of these tapping.
Right. It's not like tapping and cupping and then or rubbing.
Right around here.
Collarbone.
Yep. Because pretty much everything is draining here. So this is the terminus point of the lymphatic system. There's this little kind of triangle that your neck makes. And you can see it kind of has a little
like
puffy
that
quality
pocket.
even.
Yeah.
And so right there is where we are going to do our lymphatic drainage technique. So I like to just make my hand a little cup. The lymphatic system, once you've actually kind of hit your skin and your muscles, you have bypassed the lymphatic system. You are now going into the blood and the muscles. The lymphatic system is so light and above all of that, it really is like a water. So it moves once again like that water system. And it's flowing really so gently that if we want to, put ourselves into that system, we have to become very gentle. So most
this
people,
is not an aggressive practice.
Right. So most of the time I see people there, they're
That's
really,
what I've been doing.
Yeah. so they're really going after it, which is great. I love the enthusiasm. And it's moving stuff, but it's not going to necessarily move the lymphatic system as much. So it's a much gentler, barely there kind of a tap. Sometimes people can't get both of their hands here. You can do a cross or just one is fine if you can do them both like this. So that is optimal. And I leave this cupping space actually where that is. So my hand is touching all around the lymphatic point, but it's almost air now.
So you're almost just you're creating pressure.
I'm creating an
negative pressure when you pull away, probably?
Exactly.
Okay.
Both. It's kind of a right? So I'm creating a tiny pump with my hand. So now I'm going to take that and I'm going to put them on those points. And we're just going to, my rhythm is pretty slow. Some people like to be, right around here.
Okay.
This feels comfortable for me. When I start going faster, I start getting irritated. And so that makes me realize that my nervous system likes a little bit of a slower pat.
Okay.
And so I will maintain this pat until I feel draining happening.
So you're not setting a timer for 30 seconds.
There's no timer. There's no number. You can count if your OCD likes to count.
By twos and alternating every other 7? No.
But sometimes I do like to count just to see how many, just for the fun of it. But in general, you're just going to go until you feel things starting to flow. You'll start to feel kind of like breaking up behind your sinuses, behind your nose, maybe in the back of your head, behind your eyes. You'll just start feeling things starting to slowly drain. There we go. So now I can feel it starting to happen. I'm just going to keep after it.
So you don't stop as soon as you feel it. You
Nope.
just keep
I'm
going.
going to keep going until I make sure it is all the way through.
This is like a theme I'm detecting, that everything takes longer than you want it to.
Everything takes longer and everything is personal.
Yeah.
Like you might have been done 5 seconds ago,
Sure.
and here I keep going. So
I'm just thinking I could be doing this too.
There you go.
Oh, I can't get there. I can't get it. There we go. Doesn't matter. Do you need to be do you have to expose your skin, or can you do it over your?
You can do it over your shirt because it's really, once again, it's this. You're not directly affecting the lymph. You are creating a pump for the lymphatic system to experience. You know,
Stimulating it.
you want it to do its own thing. It can't be forced like a blood or, you know, some other things can be more forceful. You'll damage it. It's like tissue paper. It's basically like nothing. So it's just, you have to be, gentle, calm, patient. But yeah, a lot of my clients now that are doing this, they're like, I just keep going. And then it starts to happen. But especially right now with allergy season and stuff, this is great for your sinuses. It's just, it can be really an amazing tool for head clarity, for some of that fogginess, and just to keep the fluid from building up in our head, creating that headache type pressure.
Yeah.
So
very cool. I mean, it feels like this is something our body should be doing for us automatically, but because of everything we've done to our bodies, that's why it's not functioning properly.
Well, right. So your lymphatic system doesn't have a pump. Whereas your vascular system, it has a heart, you know, and we've determined that may or not be what is pumping it. But the only thing that is pumping your lymphatic system is your diaphragm. So it's the pressure in your body. So a lot of yoga practices, if you look at them from a non-Western perspective as well, which they're just trying to get hyper flexible, but if you really think about some of the more breath-based practices or even a vinyasa flow, a lot of it is expansion with breath, contraction, right? So what are we doing? We're expanding, we're trying to get everything up and flowing, and then we're pushing it back through those cavities. We're pushing things up, we're dragging them down. You know, you're doing that over and over again, so you are creating the pump, right? So a lot of, I think, systems knew that our body had some systems that function better than others or some that just need some help. And they created systems to help those things. We've kind of taken them and turned them into, you know, hyperflexibility and being really, really skinny and all of these other things that have really nothing to do with what I think they were set out to do.
The original intention.
Yeah. And in my opinion, when I do vinyasa flow, that's what I feel and experience. There's even things called laughing yoga and other different types of traditions, but you are just pushing out your diaphragm. So you're going,
That's normal.
Right. And it will make you laugh.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny.
But what am I creating? Right. I'm pretending like I just did a heavy, heavy workout. Right. That's what my diaphragm would be doing.
Sure.
So I'm
stimulating it in a way that your body's going to react to it.
Right. I'm playing hard workout, you know? And so I'm not actually having to work out, but I'm creating the thing
your body
that
responses.
Happens.
Interesting. And if your lymphatic system responds to your diaphragm, I think the fact that a lot of people are breathing only through their chest probably explains why the drainage would be poor.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. That's
and
something.
And then there's forward flexed, right?
Forward flexion and everything kind of
like
crunch down. Yeah. I had to learn how to breathe diaphragmically when I, like the CrossFit gym years ago, taught us that in like crocodile breathing and belly breathing, like actually breathing through your belly. I couldn't actually even do it at first. Like, cause I think part of it was being overweight for a lot of my life. I was always sucking my belly in to try and look, you know, a little skinnier than I was. And so I'm always tucking this. So I'm always breathing right here and just like being like, bro, your belly is what your belly is. Like breathe out of it. And like, I had to just sit there and like, whoa, like it was weird trying to get my diaphragm to move.
Yeah.
And like that, all of a sudden that did open up like things. I have felt different doing that. So if that's something you've actually never breathed through your belly.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot. So do that too.
Exactly. Well, right. Most people are playing it very small and they're just, we're kind of crunching into our casts and allowing it to really hold us. And then we're not realizing how it's affecting our actual cardiovascular capacity. Has your capacity shrunk, you know, is the house that your lungs and heart live in
very small,
a tiny home, you know?
It's a studio apartment.
Right. Do we need to, get it to actually be the size that we need for our expansion. So,
Yeah.
and then our diaphragm can expand. And how many times, even when you're working out, are you working out to exhaustion?
Almost never.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So
A
that's
few times
where-
in history, there was like a few of those like hero wads at CrossFit where everyone's just sweaty starfish. You're just like splat on the ground. You can't move. Yeah.
Right. So a lot of the times, people are not going to be exerting themselves in that way. So how can we cheat that system and
Right.
figure out little things we can implement while we're watching the TV and still be benefiting our health?
Because this is something you can do
needle.
this anywhere. You can do it. Well, I probably shouldn't do it at a stoplight if it's going to take you more than 30 seconds. But, at a lot of
both
places.
hands on the wheel. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Nothing in
I
the
mean,
car.
I have been doing the lymphatic like tapping, and I don't always slam on it, but I think I'm not going as gentle as you're suggesting here, which is really good information. But yeah, my kids or my wife will like walk in and like, what are you doing? Like, well, I'll let you know if it works. Like, it's a weird thing I saw on the internet. But I mean, I know enough people that say it works. So I think this is like a really good thing.
Well, and I think with the negative pressure comment that you were making too, so the stomach vacuuming, it would be considered a negative pressure.
Right.
Most women too are constantly holding this negative pressure vacuum, right, which is keeping them breathing up in their top of their lungs.
Sure.
And I think too, when we're holding that type of negative tension, we are becoming more anxious. I think I showed you a couple people I know who are high, on the yoga chain, and their posts are they're like full-blown essays of anxiety. It's just, I don't know. It just seems like there's something going on that maybe they need to be balancing to their positive and negative pressures. Once you push out, you actually feel a lot safer. And when you push out hard, you actually start to feel your muscles like a barrel wrapping around you.
Yep.
So it feels actually very safe. And you don't feel like you're fat, like your stuff's all falling out, like how you think you would feel if you're pushing out.
For sure.
The reason you're trying to avoid it is because you think you're going to feel this way. And once you do it, you're actually like, oh, wait a second.
Yeah. Like when you're doing it, my body like catches on the way out, like I'm not safe here. Then you realize, no, it is safe.
It's way safer.
And then you're not breathing shallow, breathing in your chest, breathing in your, again, like just crunching yourself down into this little torso of a person.
Right. And when you push out, you feel how much abdominal strength you have. When you're pulling in, you really can't.
Yeah. You're like, I feel like I have nothing. Like, oh, it's hard.
Yeah.
But when
you feel it
out,
up in your diaphragm because you're constricting your diaphragm really good. But when you're blowing that diaphragm out, now
then you can feel your obliques.
obliques.
You're like, oh, right. Your abs are not just the six-pack region of the belly button area. They wrap all the way around to the back, like beyond 90 degrees.
Right. You'll feel them even up into the serratus.
Because they interweave up here, right?
Right. So you
Things
can
you don't
feel
know.
how powerful you are, though. And that's, I think, maybe like, why are we as women shrinking ourselves and becoming voids, like.
Because we just want to be skinny above all things.
Right. Well, we want to be invisible, maybe, too. I don't know.
There's something there. Something there.
So I guess our last little exercise of the day we'll leave you with would be to do the opposite of what you've been doing. So once again, that's kind of just where we're starting. If you've been like this all day, what's the opposite of that?
Open up.
We're
probably sweating here.
We're going to take our arms all the way over our heads today. We're going to pull our ribs into the back of the chair. So let them kind of backpack into the chair. We're going to breathe. And as we lift, we're going to lift from our armpits up. As you breathe, just try to reach to the sky. Let your sternum start reaching, but pulling your ribs down. So you're creating a separation between your lower ribs and your higher ribs. Try and hold that for a little bit. If you want to, you can drop your arms back down behind your head. You could hold your water bottle or something if you wanted to make this extra hard. pulling your ribs into the chair. Don't let this happen. This is not thoracic extension. That's spinal extension, right? So we want to pull our spine in, just mobilizing from our sternum. And I'm already sweating again.
You picked a much more sweat-friendly shirt.
I knew I was going to do that. So.
Nope.
But you'll see, too, that heat that you just raised, really good for your lymphatic system.
Yeah.
So I just flushed my thyroid, my thymus, all the really important glands in here, right? I might even be a little red in my chest. You open these things up literally by opening yourself up.
Yeah,
so,
and it generates heat. That is like wild. Yeah.
You will generate a lot of heat very quickly. So yeah. So
there's
a couple things to do today.
Every day even would be great.
Yeah. And if you are feeling like you're doing them wrong too, maybe take a video and send us so we could troubleshoot. I think that's the hardest part for me, is not being able to see people and their little tricky things they do.
Yeah. Mailbag at recoverymode.fm. Send us your videos, your questions. And speaking of the mailbag, we have been getting some questions. We got over a dozen emails, I think, now this is the first episode that's come out since we've put episodes out. So we had a couple recorded, but we didn't have opportunity to like film anything and respond to messages until now. And so of those dozen, I would say, I think probably 9 or 10 of them all have the same question.
Okay.
Which is, how do I find someone like you near me?
Yeah.
Like, great. Oh, I don't even need to watch. I don't need to listen anymore. I just want to find someone like Marce near me. But I live in France. I live in Fort Myers. I live in Colorado. People, from all over. And that's a really good question. There is only one Marce, but there are people who've trained in the same things that you have, who have the same certifications or same backgrounds. And so I thought maybe it would be good to spend just a couple minutes and talk about, if you're looking for a practitioner near you, what can you be looking for in terms of certifications or modalities or backgrounds? And that way, hopefully you can find someone who will be able to help.
Yeah. So usually if they are certified in structural energetic therapy or set therapy, that's going to be your best bet. There are a lot of us in Florida, Tampa specifically, but surprisingly, there are some across the United States. So Minnesota, but they do have a website. Also a functional patterns facilitator. They also have a good website with a lot of the different practitioners, and I believe their levels. They are also opening different facilities. So sometimes you might even want to just Google functional patterns. Maybe the facility isn't on the practitioner map for some reason.
Yeah, not all their practitioners, that's a hard word. Not all their practitioners are in the directory.
Right. Yeah. For whatever reason, I think both in sometimes set and in functional patterns, you don't make it to the website somehow, some way. I honestly don't know. It's probably just like an administration issue.
Yeah, these are small companies usually, and
right. And I know structural energetic therapy is run by a very older group of people, so technology is not.
They've got their font size on maximum on their iPhones, and
Right. They, they like to fish. That's not.
I like to fish. But
the other stuff,
fair.
not so much.
Yeah.
So yes, I also would recommend someone that's myofascially, generally Barnes myofascially trained.
Barnes, Barnes. Okay.
Yeah, he's kind of the main guy that I trained under also. So they tend to have the best conceptual ideas of how to work with myofascial releases in order to get you what you want.
Sure.
Instead of, some of the other people. So I do like Rolfing as well. Some of that can be good. Truthfully though, it's just going to be about your practitioner, unfortunately.
It's going to be a case-by-case basis.
I always say massage therapists were not created equally. All of us we are all also, it's about our personality, the type of, way we grew up, our work ethic.
How the place wants to have the facility run. I know I've known some really good massage therapists in the past, but they were like, well, you need to do a 50-minute hour and we don't want you blah, blah, blah. And so it's like, well, her capacity was more, but what she was even limited to in that space was less. So
Yeah.
very case by case.
Exactly. Right. Or if they're, in other countries, they might just be insurance based, which makes them, have a whole set of what they can and can't do that I'm
Right.
not, having to structure my work
Yeah.
towards.
Generally, if a place accepts insurance, you're probably not going to have the freedom to experiment with different things. They need to stick to a standard of care that may not be ideal. So,
Right.
yeah, you have to pony up a couple bucks.
I do tend to think, even my chiropractor is cash pay. So generally, if they're any good, they're not going to be in the chiropractic office. They're not going to be in a place where they're letting somebody siphon 50% of their income off of them, or
Right.
things
It's
like that.
It's going to be a one or a small location, probably.
Yeah. So it is, unfortunately, mouth to mouth is always a good way. Start asking.
You mean word of
people.
mouth?
Word of mouth. Sorry.
That's a weird way to transfer information.
Yes. Take that out.
No, we're keeping that in. That's staying in. Yeah.
Yes.
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth
Right.
is always
You're like
good.
pretty much exclusively word of mouth.
I'm only word of mouth.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's tends to work for me. And I do think, if somebody, Google to try to find me.
What even are their expectations? Like, what are they coming for? Right. If I tell someone about you, it's because they've already told me I'm lightheaded or dizzy. I've got this pain. I've got my shoulder ache. I've sat at a computer. Like I'm like, oh yeah, this is like my story. I went to Marce. Marce helped me. Marce can help you. Versus someone who's like, I don't know, I'm feeling really stressed out. I just want like I just want one of these.
I just want a relaxation
massages. Yeah, which is fine if that's what you want. But,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why I refer.
Yeah, exactly. But just know that what you're getting is probably mostly just, that experience and maybe the next hour or two of like relaxation afterwards.
Yes. And that's the feedback I get is the most of the time is I've never had a massage like that before.
Yeah.
So if you go in and you get a massage that's not like the other massage, like that would be a good place to start too. Like, are they doing things differently than the spa massage? That would probably imply that they're more trained.
They're on to something.
Right. Do they have medical posters up? Do they have some of that feeling about it?
Are they selling just products or are they like teaching you things? Right.
Right. How much time are they spending with you?
Sure.
Like you're saying, a lot of people are limited, but then you're going to get a limited service,
Any other like red flags if you go for a massage, anything that like stands out is they might not really be.
I personally always don't love it when they start you face down
In the thing.
in the face hole.
Yeah.
I usually can assume that it's going to be a kind of a fluffy massage that way. People generally want their backs massaged because they feel like that's
where you feel the pain. The tightness. Yep.
But then that shows me that their understanding of where the pain is coming from is not quite fully comprehensive.
Because as we talked about last episode, the referred pain is generally coming from somewhere else, the short side of the muscle, usually wrapping around into one of our flexion sort of muscle groups. So your back or scap pain might be coming from your pec.
Probably be coming from the front.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times too, when you get neck work done, they're wanting you to be face down and they're pushing your neck down. That's also not the best way for your neck to go.
You're face up and you're
all face
pulling out in a way and up and
right. And I'm working on the front of the neck mostly. I'm not really working on the back of the neck because the back of the neck is already pretty shortened, lengthened. It's these shortened guys that are dragging it forward.
Right.
So if I can lengthen these, why would I also, if I lengthen these, what happens? These actually get shorter.
Yeah.
So people are usually creating more of the problem through their own, I don't want to say incompetence, but their own inability to have the education, I guess, that they need to see the full picture.
Right.
But you with a brain can see that and think that through. That's why I'm kind of confused why it's not.
Listen to this podcast and go try some practitioners out and like just line it up. Are they doing the things we're talking about? Are they demonstrate understanding of the way that works and then see what the results you get from that?
Yeah. And ask them, can you work on my scalenes? Can you work on my pecs?
And if they say, where are your scalenes? Maybe they're not the ones.
Or if they're working so fast that you find yourself guarding yourself couple of my clients that end up going to other people, they're like, it seems like they're working as hard as you, but I'm like tensed up the whole time. And it's like, well, because I'm doing it in this way, like I said, where I'm kind of bypassing your nervous system's desire to do that.
Right.
I'm confusing it and making it feel comfortable. Whereas when people are going really quickly or really just too fast,
Forcefully,
too deep, your body will, you're working on their neck and their butts. Like, you can tell they're just like squeezing their legs and their butt so hard, trying to clench because this is hurting and they don't want to yell at you. They want to get their session, and that is not good. If you are having to tighten something else up in the session while they're working on something else, then
red flag.
Yeah. Then that's usually they're going, too fast, too soon, too whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Great information.
Yeah, but I hope everybody can find somebody, or maybe in the future we will figure out something to help
you help yourself some more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, on that point, if you're, we were talking about maybe you could do like a Zoom session or workshop-y sort of things. If that's kind of playing on some ideas on how could do some group sessions. If you're interested in that, if you want to have 45 minutes or an hour, maybe around certain things, we can get something put together. Just email us. Let us know if you're interested. I would be happy to do a Zoom session and go through some movements with Marce. Just send us an email.
Small group classes.
Mailbag at recoverymode.fm. And if there's enough interest, we'll start to put some shape to that. If there's not, I mean, I'm not trying to force anything, but
right. Yeah. We won't spend the time on it if it's not something that
we're not making money doing this, just trying to help people. And hopefully we're doing that. So please let us know if we're doing that. If you have any questions, or again, like the idea of maybe a Zoom session, or have other ideas for us, would love to hear them. Otherwise, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Every other Tuesday, unless we mess it up.
Maybe we will.
Maybe we will. All right. Thanks.
Until then, bye.
Catchphrase.
Yeah.